Hi everybody. Just a follow up update, I suppose, on the last one where I had given my rationale to the change from the date of the 9th for the announcement through to the 16th and possibly even the 23rd. Looking more like the 16th, but time will tell. It really depends how much progress they make. All I will say is that the ball is firmly in their court now at this point in time. We're very clear on that. It's really with the minister himself, the housing minister. It's with the senior advisors that each of the ministers have. That's the Department of Expenditure, the Department of Finance, their senior advisors, and obviously the senior officials as well from both the housing agency and the housing department. So, don't underestimate the work that's going on there. Like, I've just spent an hour there this evening with John O'Connor from the housing agency, myself, and that's only, I suppose, a token gesture of what's going on. They're working full time on this now. This is what it's all about for them. So, like I said, it's good to know that time's not been wasted. That I can understand people thinking they're kicking the can down the road here, but like I said, if it's in the interest of a better scheme, then I think it's the right thing for us still to be doing. Um, so just to give a feel then, so Tuesday still a very important date, the 9th, even though it's not the cabinet meeting, it's a housing subcommittee meeting. It's a biggie. Um, it's going to be chaired by the Taoiseach himself. It'll be about mica and pyrite only, nothing else. There'll be submissions from the housing department. That's the crew we have had our difficulties with, let's say, over the summer. Where there'll be also a submission from the housing agency themselves, which will be largely to our script. Not that we're putting the words in their mouth, but they've got the best understanding of what it is we're looking for, and that's where most of our time's been spent this last while. Just reiterating that, clarifying that, and making sure that there's no ambiguity. Okay, so on that part, we tend to do that fairly well. I suppose the other part of it then is just to say that you're going to have it's an evening meeting, it's a 6 o'clock meeting that evening, but the first half will be by the presentations from the various stakeholders, the housing department and the housing agency, like I say. My understanding is they largely leave then, and it becomes very much a political debate afterwards, and what way it tends to fall after that, or what they think they need further clarification on. Hence the uncertainty as to whether it's going to be the 16th or 23rd. If it all goes well and there's not a lot of dispute and debate, bearing in mind this is a more enhanced scheme, not using his words, but it is more enhanced than what he thought his enhanced scheme was, because they were running at 350 and we know that's not the numbers anymore. They understand that that's not acceptable. So it's whatever version of that now comes. If that comes easy, the 16th should happen. If it's difficult and there's more time needed to get the deal that the minister believes is the right deal, it could be as far as the 23rd. It's over to us then. Do we agree that the deal that they fought hard for is enough or not? And that's where it comes down to. Now, I have been on Highland a couple of times there this week at Greg's request, and have heard me maybe talk on that. We don't have a veto, so what they come out with, they come out with on that date. And it's almost a like it or lump it, but the lump it for us is not just a case of we walk away. If it's not something we believe we can work with, then that's when we go into our plan B's and C's. And like I said, we had a meeting with leaders of the opposition there on Tuesday night as well, just to talk about that and that plan B and what the follow up would be and so on, that type of stuff. So without going through all that again, we're not just sitting back, arms folded, waiting to see the outcome and then wondering what we do beyond that. We plan to have successive plans in place that we just move on to the next stage in the campaign. I suppose, just to be clear, the big ticket items will still be the numbers. It'll be in around the caps, if there are caps. And we knew that the cap was 350, that was going to happen on Tuesday. That will no longer be the case. We'll wait to see what the new numbers are. But there's also square foot rates, which are equally important. And they have to be at least what's deemed to be true costs through that SCSI calculator. We've submitted them numbers. And that's what we have to hope for, that we get. I have warned on several occasions the potential for a disconnect between that and what our contractors are prepared to work at a square foot rate, and some scary numbers come through. Hearing then some other ones is not as bad. So I'm hoping that it's not just that far off the mark, but that's we just have to suck that and see and wait and see what comes out from it. We'll hopefully get SCSI numbers that are deemed true costs for the area and for a house of a particular type and size and so on. And then the challenge then is that your hip pocket budget that you go to the market with then. And that's the difficulty with the grant scheme as it stands. There's no guarantees that that gets you what you're looking for. All right. But that's the nature of a grant scheme. I suppose the other part then is in around the whole certification and guarantees, what that looks like for options 2 to 5. And then the excluded homes are never far from our minds here either. The buy-to-lets and the holiday homes, and see what comes from there. There will be an increased housing agency involvement, starting off with, and we made this clear, we didn't want the housing agency to become the client because they're a member of the state, and we know that the housing department have a problem, not so much the housing agency, the housing department have a problem with the number of demolition rebuilds. So what we have asked for is we would welcome housing agency involvement on a shadowing capacity that allows them to learn from our experienced engineers that are on the ground, see the challenges that they're facing every day that they're out there testing houses, and learn from that. As opposed to a desktop exercise in Dublin, it becomes very real with a pair of Wellingtons on you here when you're jumping down on top of founds here, looking at cores being taken and etc. from the rising walls or the footings. So that, I think, will be in the direction of goodness. And we did talk all along of the housing agency end-to-end scheme. There's still a place for that. We're convinced on that one. And what that does, that removes that market worry, the worry that I just talked about earlier in terms of the disconnect between what you have in your hip pocket budget-wise and the cost of getting somebody to take it on. There could be a disconnect. That disconnect should not be there with an end-to-end housing agency deal, just the same as it was for the Leinster Pyrite scheme. And the other big advantage on it is right now we have got several examples of things being granted based on what was known at the time in terms of remediation options, only to find then when you start works, other things have cropped up. And then are they covered, are they not covered, all that type of stuff. Again, not an issue whenever it's housing agency led, because their mantra is to leave the house right when they walk away. So if other stuff is discovered, it's dealt with. And that's how they treated the Leinster Pyrite scheme. And in my conversations with John O'Connor, that's how they would intend to do it again going forward if that was the case. So with all of that in play, but again, so lots of work, a pile of detail. It'll be interesting to see how much detail comes out. We've got a pile of detail in front of them in terms of the asks and the intricacies of it and the what if scenarios and all that type of stuff. We didn't spend all summer just putting together 3 pillars. There's a lot of detail underpinning all of that we hope is taken into account. That's all we can do, is push that forward at every opportunity, which we've done. And we just need to see now at what level of a response do we get. And then the other massive part will be how is this rolled out, and ensuring that it's not watered down through administrative detail, the same as what happened with the 9010 that turned it into a 6040. So there's a lot in terms of watching this space as far as we're concerned. So that's really all I think I need to tell you on that part. The only other couple of quick things then, I just want to give a big shout out to Brian Quinn. Done a really brilliant job. We got founded right enough up in Buncrana on the pitch on the pitch, or pitch on pitch, whatever he called it. All the tents that were put there. Again, just a very powerful image. You got TG Cahir back up again, which is great. And it got quite a bit of coverage there. Probably an awful lot more people if we had had a little bit better weather, but that's the nature of the game, and fair play to him, we went ahead and he made it happen. The other thing that I did then on Saturday as well, I was invited along to Forsa. That's one of the biggest unions for state employees. In this particular branch was in around the special needs assistants, SNAs, who have a massive part in terms of dealing with our kids, MICA affected kids in our schools. So that was really good. I welcomed that, and I'll probably give about a 10-minute rundown on it. And the big thing was ensuring that they were also pushing hard on government, which is a motion. There were two motions on Micah and Pyrite actually put forward, and that it basically amounted to, increased pressure on government to go do the right thing by these kids, because they could see the effects on them, which was really good, and it's all support and stuff that we're needing there. So motions were passed from what I could see, so that was all good. So really nice to see them taken on board, and a big thanks to Neve for asking us to contribute to that. And just lastly, then tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we'll have a meeting again with Anne, Eileen, Eamon, Joe, a couple others, with Derek Hilary, um, Fianna Fáil TD, and a heavyweight in the Fianna Fáil party from Mayo, and then with Joe McHugh and Charlie McConlogue as well, and we'll be continue to push here as we normally do. So that's all going on in the background there as well, and I'll update you if I've any news of interest coming out of the Tuesday meeting. That's a 6 o'clock meeting, so we mightn't hear very much. We mightn't hear much anyway. We don't know, but we'll keep you filled in with what we're allowed to fill you in with in the meantime, and you just have to trust us that we're going to keep